So in today's video, we're going to be talking about something a little bit abstract. We're not going to be talking about settings or cameras or lenses or anything to do with aperture or shutter speed, ISO or anything like that. We're going to be talking about something that you can develop inside you. Something that can be a skill, but maybe a little bit more abstract than that. We're going to be talking about your intuition. And we're going to be talking about how you can develop this to become a better photographer. Now, intuition is something that we all have. And some of us, when we're just starting out with our photography, our intuition isn't as built as somebody else's that's been doing photography for a while. So you're more reliant when you're beginning on your settings and your composition and lighting, lens choice and things like that. But when you've been doing photography for a long time, it doesn't really matter too much what camera, what lens you got. Your intuition starts to build greatly. You know, you just get that feeling sometimes when there's a great photo. It might be, you know, you pass an alleyway or a road or a shop front, a window, or there's a person doing something, and that feeling inside you just tells you this is going to make a great photo. You're not worried about the lighting, the composition and your settings and things. You just go there and you do it. You take that photo. And when you begin, or when I was beginning photography, there's a lot of times where this voice inside me was telling me to go there and take a photo, but then my negative voice in my head, in my brain, was telling me otherwise. And at the beginning, my brain, that negative voice, it did win a lot of the time. But as I've developed my photography, I've gone out more, I've put the hours in, I've developed my intuition. That feeling of taking that photo has become much greater, and that negative voice, it more or less doesn't exist anymore. So when I have that feeling of taking a photo, when there is that moment, I have that feeling inside me, I just go and take that photo. Because if I go home and I didn't take that photo, whether I'm on the tube or train platform or on the streets, in a shop, in a crowd, whatever it might be, that thought I know will just be replaying in my mind. And when I'm trying to sleep at night, I will have that regret. And I've had that many times in the past. I do not want that in the future. So I always take that photo. So one of my biggest tips to all photographers, whether you're a beginner, intermediate or advanced photographer, when you're out there and you're exploring the environment, wherever you might be, in a big city, you might be on a beach, in a mountainside or countryside or wherever it might be, when something sparks your interest, do not question it. Pull up your camera and take that photo. Don't think that I'm going to come back and do it, or, you know, my friend's waiting for me, or I'm hungry, or I want to get home. Take that photo. That is one of my biggest tips. We live in the world of digital photography. You can take as many photos as you want, and the more photos you take, the more times you hit that shutter, the more you're going to learn, the more you're going to experience, the more data you'll have when you get back onto your computer and pull those photos up. You realize, oh, that lighting really worked, or maybe I could have taken a step back and got a wider view, or maybe I could have changed my angle. I could have moved to the left a bit more, moved to the right a bit more. Maybe I could have walked forward into the frame a bit more. So the more times you take photos, the more experience you're going to have, and the greater photographer you're going to become. So try not to have that negative voice talk you out of taking that photo. You might be in the city somewhere and that negative voice will say something along the lines of, oh, people are watching me. Oh, I feel a bit odd, I feel a bit out of the way. That's just happening in your head. Nobody really cares that you're taking a photo. Nobody really cares that, you know, you're out there just practicing photography. People might look at you, but they might look at you in curiosity. Yeah, you might have a negative look now and again, but really, do you really care what a stranger is thinking? You don't know that person. You're not going to meet them ever again in your life. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just with your camera, taking photos in a public space. It's completely legal. You're not harming anyone. So don't allow that negative voice to win. Don't allow that negative voice to talk you out of taking that photo. When that intuition kicks in, listen to it. Go to that place, whether it's a shape, geometric shape, it's a person, a car, a patch of light, whatever it might be, whatever you're trying to capture. Every time you listen to your intuition, that tool, that skill, that feeling will grow and get stronger, and you'll become a better photographer. Trust me. Now, if you're a beginner photographer, it can be a little bit more difficult to listen to your intuition. It's something you need to develop, as I've spoken about earlier. When we're just starting out and we're at that beginner stage and we're developing our style of photography, we're much more worried about composition and framing, aperture, shutter speed, ISO. We need to think things through a little bit more. But the more times you go out there, the more hours you put in, the more times you press that shutter button and develop your photography skills, all of that stuff just comes automatic. And then this is where the intuition really starts to kick in. So when you see something, you just go to that spot. You're not thinking about your shutter speed and your aperture and stuff. It's kind of just like automatic, almost like riding a bike or driving a car. When we're riding a bike or driving a car, let's say, we're not thinking about, putting the clutch down, changing gear, pressing the accelerator, looking in the mirror, indicating. You're just on autopilot, right? You're just doing it. And that's the same thing when it comes to photography. Because you've driven the car so many times, you put the hours in, things just become autopilot. Then you can really enjoy the drive. If you're driving through the countryside, you can enjoy the sunset and the scenery and the roads. You can enjoy the ride. And that's what I'm trying to get at with this video and this intuition, this feeling that we have. You can enjoy the photography a lot more because you're not thinking about and worrying about, am I getting my settings right, and all the little nitty bitty things. You just have that feeling, you go to that place, you go to that light, that subject, and you take a photo, and you can just concentrate on your framing and the storytelling a lot more. So to wrap things up, to summarize this video, if you're a beginner photographer, yes, you do need to practice your settings and your shutter exposure triangle, get used to what lens suits your photography style and develop that photography style. Then as things start to progress and you're much more used to using your camera and your setup, and that stuff is all on autopilot, start to listen to that intuition. Start to listen to that inner voice that starts to guide you and tell you where to go and take that photo. And that's where the true magic starts to happen. That's where you start thinking outside the box. Stop thinking so mechanically. You start becoming a much more creative photographer because you're not confined in those, exposure triangles and all the settings and all the mechanics of photography. Photography is a creative art. Go out there. Be creative. Don't worry so much about your gear and your setup. Explore, try different things. Like a kid, be a kid and enjoy your photography. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope it made sense. I just wanted to get it off my chest and let's get back to being creative with our cameras rather than worrying about all the settings all the time. So I hope you did enjoy this video. Leave a comment, let me know what you think, and go out there and listen to that voice, listen to that inner voice, listen to that inner child and explore. And I'd love to see some of your results. If you're interested in workshops, I'm going to be putting together some workshops in London. It is winter time, so at the moment we're doing night workshops, but we will be doing some day workshops and also workshops abroad. And also there is my London guide. Sign up to the newsletter below and you'll find out all the information about what's coming up. Until next time, get out there and take those photos.